Lost media is generally defined as media that no longer exists, is missing, or is not available to the general public. After watching some videos on the subject by Nexpo and Savox, I wondered what kind of examples of this phenomenon exist in the world of rap. I did some digging, found some examples as well as some that I already knew of, and today I'm gonna share them with you. So this is CDTV, and let's get into the video.
Took a shot out of the glass of mischief. Made an album so all the way you just had to get it. Every track explicit. I figured those of you who was in love with rap would listen.
This right here was the first one that came into my mind because when I was roughly 14 years old in 2012, my Hopsin era was at its peak. I was closely following the making of his third album, Knock Madness, and he would regularly post updates on the album through his Facebook page and even some videos showing the making of it on YouTube. Now, the first intended single for Knock Madness, titled Hop Madness, dropped in March of 2012, but the album itself didn't come out until the end of November in 2013. So why was there such a big gap? Well, the final version of the album that we got was not the original version of Knock Madness. I had to do a bit of researching because I couldn't fully recall what went down with the album over 10 years ago because like I said, I was following this while it was happening. But long story short, Hopsin's hard drive that his music was stored on got corrupted in around June of 2013 with no backup. And he lost most of the music that he was working on for the album.
What happened to the song that went, see, I took a shot out of the glass of mischief. It had got deleted because there was a time when Knock Madness got deleted and I had to go in and do everything all over because I lost everything on my hard drive.
Hopsin said that the reason that this happened is because he isn't good with computers, which in hindsight I guess is noticeable in clips of him making music.
What the hell? That's not what I fucking wanted. Stupid piece of shit. Check. What the fuck is going on? Stupid ass shit's not working. Fucking stupid crap, man. What the hell? Okay, please work now, please work. Fuck a record deal. Whoa. What the fuck? Hold on. False advertisement. No. Power on the Avalon. I don't know what the fuck this thing does. I don't know what any of this shit is.
Some of the music he was making in those clips sounded pretty good too, in my opinion. It's a shame it got lost and he had to rebuild the album from scratch, essentially. However, you can see that some of the stuff from the clips did make its way onto the Knock Madness album. Presumably, Hopsin remade a few of the tracks, such as Rip Your Heart Out, Old Friend, Who's There, Caught in the Rain, and Jungle Bash. Also, we did see a verse from the Hopsin Basement video make its way into a future album of his, on the song FV Till I Die from Pound Syndrome, so that was a pretty cool moment hearing that for the first time. As someone who watched that video when it came out, just hearing it on an album years later, it was nice. Whether the original version of Knock Madness had only minor differences or major differences to the end product that we got, it's safe to say at least some things changed when Hopsin had to rebuild the album after losing at least a year or two of work on it. And there's no chance of us hearing that full original version now.
Hey yo, S-I-N-Y, Killer Beehive, Eastside, duck in the fire, roll with the live, sweet love.
Speaking of storage devices and lost music, RZA of the Wu-Tang Clan might have one of the most infamous examples of this. Following the release of Wu-Tang's debut album in 1993, a fucking phenomenal album by the way, one of the best of the 90s, RZA already had the production ready for the solo debut albums of a few Wu-Tang Clan members. Hundreds of these beats were stored on floppy disks that he kept on the floor in his basement studio. What could possibly go wrong there? Two big bastard floods. RZA estimates that he lost around 500 beats in the floods. He said 300 initially, but the number has went up in more recent interviews. A lot of people lost material for their music, and the member of the group most impacted was probably Inspectah Deck, the focus of this segment. His debut album Uncontrolled Substance was originally planned to release in 1995, then was delayed to 1997 because of label issues, but didn't end up coming out until 1999 because he lost all of his material for the original version of the album in the flood. As a result, he re-recorded it, and what we have now as Deck's debut solo album is very different to his original vision for it, and presumably it has a lot less of that legendary RZA production on it than the original because RZA only has 2 production credits on the officially released version. It's generally agreed online that the original version probably would have been better than the Uncontrolled Substance album that we have, and the official version definitely isn't held in the same regard as the Wu solo classics like Liquid Swords or Only Built for Cuban Links. The moral of the story here is always have backups if you're working on something important.
Shimmy, shimmy, y'all, shimmy, yeah, shimmy, yeah. Give me the mic so I can take it away. Off on the natural charge, bon voyage.
Here we have another piece of Wu-Tang Clan related lost media, but not in the form of music. This time, it's a whole reality game show that never aired. It was focused on the most chaotic member of the group, Old Dirty Bastard, ODB, and the premise of the show was that for 1 week, the contestant on the show, Bob, described by the show's creators as a pasty white guy from Queens, had to spend 24 hours a day for that whole week within 10 feet of ODB to see what type of situations would play out. Every time Bob got more than 10 feet apart from Dirty, he would lose some of the prize money, which, according to the creators, only happened once, when ODB got Bob too drunk and he went to the toilet to throw up and, spent a couple hours in there. It sounded like it would have been a pretty wild show to watch, honestly. For some reason, at one point, a £250 stripper came to ODB's house to give Bob a lap dance. Ghostface Killah was in it. A guy who was fleeing the police allegedly stayed in ODB's house for a bit during the show. And ODB got to experience some of Bob's lifestyle, going bowling with him and his family, and golfing too. It sounds like it was a wild ride, but it never came out due to ODB's fatal overdose, happening shortly after the show completed production. The show's creators said that there's an hour and a half of footage for the show in the vault at Spike TV, but it's highly unlikely that it'll ever air, and it will remain as a piece of lost media.
Y'all act like you never seen a white person before. Jaws all on the floor like Pam, like Tommy just burst in the door and started whooping her ass worse than before.
Okay, this is the first one here where I can honestly say I'm not too upset about the fact it never saw a public release. A 2003 Eminem puzzle game comprised of, according to IGN, players reassembling Eminem music videos. Billboard's great ad-ridden website further described this as players unscrambling puzzles formed from the music videos featured in the game before the song attached to the music video stops playing. Barrels of fun is pretty much just basic jigsaw puzzles with images from Eminem music videos. Its main selling point clearly was Eminem and nothing to do with the actual game content or gameplay itself. It is scheduled to ship in early summer on PlayStation 1 and PC for $14.99 or less. I'll take less, please. Considering the game's developers are responsible for publishing legendary shovelware titles like Ninja Bread Man and Anubis 2, it's pretty fair to assume the Mixed TV Presents Eminem game is nothing but a cash grab with trash gameplay. The game was completely finished, but Eminem's representatives pulled out of the deal, apparently looking for a bigger company to make a game with. Good on them. And the developers, Conspiracy Entertainment, attempted to sue them for $5 million. I don't know how that situation ended up exactly, but the important thing is that the Eminem puzzle video game, while completed, never saw the light of day.
Okay, you're never stopping now.
Okay, the less said about what's going on with Kanye as I'm making this video, the better, because mega unchristlike. But instead, I'm gonna talk about the music video for his song RoboCop from 808s that never came out in its full form. Directed by Hype Williams and starring Amber Rose along with Kanye, Amber said that she was the sole focus for about 95% of the video, playing this robotic character. Some clips have leaked from the video, 35 seconds of footage in total, and it's got this really janky, unsettling stop motion style to it. I kinda wish the video did come out in its full form so we could get many more of these twitchy Kanye reaction faces. The video, like everything else on this list, was fully finished, but for whatever reason, Kanye ended up deciding not to put it out. Because clips from it exist, I guess it's more categorized as partially found, but the video in its full terrifying glory remains unseen. Although if you want to check it out, there is a little behind the scenes interview with Kanye, Hype Williams, and other people involved with the making of the music video. It doesn't really offer many other details about the video itself, outside of what I've already mentioned here, but I'll leave a link in the description, just in case you want to check it out. So, that was a few pieces of lost media in the hip-hop world, and there's plenty left to do a second part to this video sometime, so keep an eye out for that as well. You know the whole outro spiel of mine right now. There's a video right there, and I think you should click it. No pressure, but do it. And of course, shout out to the Patreon Mandem for their support, especially my biggest supporters, and those are Agir, Big Daddy Foe, Griffin Upchurch, I Am Region, and Ryan Shadow 507.